Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hope. My name is Tammy Lynn Connors. This is my YouTube channel and podcast, helping other people evolve. Today, I have my beautiful friend Benita on here. How are you today, Benita?
I'm well, Tammy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, little backstory with Benita and I, we were both co-authors in a book.
Yay.
Yes, the third edition of Faith, Failure, Success, The Turning Point. So that's kind of how I was introduced to Benita through Glenn Murray, who I talk about Glenn all the time because he's introduced me to some amazing people throughout this journey of hope that I've been doing. And you are one of them. We did a little interview. It's your show, right?
Yes, we were
Books
on.
and
My show is
Bottles?
Books and Bottles. Yep.
Yeah.
And so we had authors of the book that you mentioned, Faith, Failure, Success, Volume 3, and you were on there. So
Yeah.
good to
Yeah,
see
that's
you
so
again.
cool.
I don't think we've talked since then. So
Right. And it's so cool what you do with your books and bottles. I think that, it's a really cool thing that people can check out. And I'll put all those links in there and things like that, after I load the podcast. But
okay.
just for anybody that's just tuning into Hope and has no idea what I'm doing here, my mission and vision is only to help people know that they don't struggle alone. I especially nowadays, in the last 2 years, everybody's been through, I feel like people are at home and they just feel like they're alone in their struggles. And unfortunately, so many people have been through struggles, but fortunately, there's people out there that are willing to share their struggles that they got to a strength with. So maybe you'll hear Benita's story today or Deontay's story that I did and get out of bed that day and be like, yes, I can get out of bed today. And that's all my mission and vision is just to kind of be a light in the world and offer people hope. So I don't even know, where are you located at, Benita?
I'm in Richmond today. So Richmond, Virginia is my home.
Okay.
But for the last year, almost a year, I've been working in Washington, D.C. So I say I have two homes. So I'm in Richmond today.
Okay, awesome. How's the weather in Richmond today?
It's cold, but it's not bad. I think it's like mid-40s today. So that's kind of warm for winter.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, we've been kind of like that too around here in Ohio. So anyways, I don't really know a lot about your story. I know that we were co-authors in the book, and so if you want to just start out, like, I don't know where Benita grew up, who Benita is, and let's just go from there.
So I grew up in Richmond, born and raised, and where I live right now at my 53 years of age is less than a mile from where I lived when I was born and about a mile from where I grew up. So I'm not very far from home. I love it here. I grew up a child of a single father, which was very unique in the 70s. It was almost unheard of that, the father had custody of the little girl or any child, but especially a little girl. But I had a wonderful village, my mom included, she was still in Richmond, but I had a wonderful village of people who supported me and my dad and helped me grow up. I attended the University of Virginia and was married 18 years, have three wonderful children and one really sweet grandson. He's like my favorite person on the planet. So that's pretty much me. I've been in this wine business for, let's see, 2005. What does this make it? 17 years.
Wow.
Been in the wine business. I do a lot of consulting, business development, nonprofit work. So that's just me in a nutshell. And so I was listening to you and your intro, you talk about hope. And, it's such a big, small word, right?
Yes.
But definitely hope is really what drives us every day. Like it's the fuel to make us get up and do it all over again. All of us have been a part of different struggles and different disappointments, but we could just give up and just lay down and say, okay, this didn't work for me, so I'm never gonna do it again. I'm never gonna step over the threshold of my front door and get back out there. But hope is really what is that energy that kind of keep us going. And then we just add, for me, if I'm not a really religious person, but I do have a strong faith. I do believe in one ultimate God. And so that faith added to that hope is what makes me push forward and move through.
So good. That's so
Yeah.
good. And it's so true. I feel like you said, we all, everybody goes through some type of struggle, right? And it's finding that hope, that faith, that whatever you believe in to get you through to the next moment, it could be the next second. It's this week has been it's been a hard week for me. I'm not gonna lie. Twitch, I love Twitch. I thought Twitch
Yeah.
was an amazing person, right? And just to know the darkness that he felt inside, and
Yeah.
that's why I try to, let people know that, there is hope. And I also like to remind people, life isn't the highlight reels,
Right.
we see all the social media highlight reels and we're like, man,
Everybody lives their best life on social media, right?
sure do.
Everything is going great. You're having fun, you're dancing, you're living your best life, but we don't know, what people are really dealing with at home.
Right.
Yeah.
And even in their own mind, their home could be, I've experienced this with people. Like I've actually known, I was talking the other day about, I had a teacher that he was an amazing teacher. And then he retired and he worked at our local hardware store. And he was the nicest, happiest, sweetest man ever. So was his wife. His kids were amazing. Like they were, and it wasn't social media back then. I'm talking almost 30 years ago, but just like happiness and joy and all of that. And you saw that in the whole family, and he ended up committing suicide. And so, it's not, so we don't know, and, you don't know what's going on inside a person. And that's why I'm such a big advocate of just be kind, just give somebody your smile, open the door for someone, or just look at someone. I would look at you and I would say to you, Benita, I'm like, you have a beautiful smile. That's, and I tell people, don't let anybody ever tell you different, and I think it's important that we do that and we share our stories, so people don't feel like they struggle alone. Like, your chapter in the Turning Point, if you want to share a little bit about that,
Sure. I will share about that. So, but before I do that, I was trying to think of this quote that is a really good one about hope from Dr. King. And it's, I might mess up a couple words, but it's like, we must accept finite disappointment because things happen, right? But never give up infinite hope.
Yes.
So it's like you accept that this is a disappointment, but don't give up, keep going.
Yes.
And sometimes just that can help you get through the dark moments. And
absolutely,
as the elders would say, especially in the Black church, trouble don't last always. So we can get through and move on. But so in the Turning Point, actually, when I guess I didn't know that I started the chapter back in 2010 when I journaled, because I dream very vividly and I can remember them, and I'm able to in my sleep know that I'm asleep and that this is a dream, and I can wake up at any time and stop it, right? So but I stayed in this dream because it was interesting. I didn't know where it was going, and so it was basically a dream of faith. I was in this room with no windows, no doors, and the voice said, you just gotta dance, right? And so first, in my dance, I started up just doing a little lazy two-step, right? And then it was like, the more I danced, the doors, the windows, I started getting windows in this space, right? Okay. And then I started to get a door, and the door opened. And so I'm giving you the very abbreviated version because I want people to buy the book, right?
Absolutely.
So I didn't know what that dream meant at the time, but everything was so vivid that I wrote. I got up, I keep, still today, I keep a journal in a basket by my bed. So I got up and I wrote everything. And so fast forward, when Glenn Murray invited me to be a part of the book, I found that journal, and I got a bunch of them. I didn't know which one I used, but I found the one, and I wrote that. It took me a minute to decide what I was going to write about. But I shared earlier that I was raised by my dad, and so from the time I was 5 years old until 2021, I never really lived in a house without my father.
Okay.
And so, that's a long time. I guess I was 5 in 1974. So, so once he passed away, it was a whole new experience for me, and for my children. And so at that point, it's like, oh, this is what I'm going to write about, in this chapter, because I felt like, we were in COVID, and COVID was a big struggle for everybody in the world. But for me personally, it was hard. I am a people person.
I feel you.
Yeah. And it's like knowing that, first of all, I can't go out, number one. Number two, people can't come over here, So all of these, my whole social life was like, what, so yes, I had young adults living in my house, as well as my dad, but I thrived off that. So there was somewhat of a depression kind of setting in because I could not get out. Compounded with 1 month after everything shut down across the world, specifically in this country, my father was assigned to hospice. So I had to face this reality that this is where I am in my life. This very adult situation that, our parents are not only aging, but we're getting to the point of separation. They're not going to be here forever. And it was very real. And I'm going to tell you, Tammy, I saw hospice, thank God for caller ID, because they were calling me a month before I finally answered the phone. I just would not answer the phone because I was like, if I don't address it, it can't be real, right?
Right.
So it was very hard, seeing him every day, this very strong person, who used to, I'm a kid and he's doing my hair and,
right.
He's doing everything for me. And now I'm doing everything for him. It was a period not only of sadness for me, seeing that happen, as I mentioned, the depression, because you're taking away my my lifeline, my oxygen is people.
Right.
But it was also a spirit of gratitude. It's a season for that because I had my father in my life for all those years.
Yeah.
I was seeing that what I had instilled in my children about just, this is what we do. We're family. They were as instrumental in taking care of my dad as I was. They were there every day. And so that was good. One thing during that period that I was most grateful for is that I believe in, this is going to be funny because some of my friends who know me, no, I don't ask for help, right?
Right. I get you.
I feel like I can do everything. And, I would, if I'm like stuck in a box, I'm going to eat through the box before I ask to help get out. But I do believe in mental health, right? And so during this period, I knew I needed to reach out to my therapist, and I hadn't spoken with her in years, but I knew that I was drowning and this was a weight and I needed an outlet. I needed somebody else to help me get through this, or help me cope with what was going on, help me to accept these things that I could no longer control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And that's so true. And when you talked about the things that you can't control, I have the Serenity Prayer tattooed on my leg. I don't know if you know what the Serenity Prayer is or not.
Yes, I do.
Yes. I have that tattooed on my leg to remind me of the things that I cannot control and the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference,
Yes.
That's something that's really hard sometimes, some days. But two things that really stuck out that you just said to me. One, during COVID, us extroverts were not okay.
We were not okay.
There's people that are introverts and extroverts, and I was not okay. Like, it was so hard. The same, like, I'm a people person. I like to hug people. I like to be around people, and being at home, I was like, and then I was watching TV and I was like, okay, I can't do this because this is making me more depressed, and I feel that with you when you said that so much, like the extrovert part. And the other thing that really I talk about a lot too with mental health is it is okay to see a counselor. It is okay to talk to somebody. I know my mom for years in her generation, I don't know if it was her generation or what, but I would be like, my mom went through, excuse my language, hell through her life. Like she really did. And I would say to her, because she was very unhealthy then, and I'd be like, Mom, just go talk to somebody. And she'd be like, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to go talk to somebody. I'm like,
They won't do it.
no,
They
and
won't care.
because I think that you have to be crazy to do that. And so I'm such a big advocate now that I'm like, no, go talk to a counselor, go talk to somebody. I can pick up the phone, Benita, and call you and tell you what's going on in my day. And you could probably say 3 words to me. And at the end, I'd be like, thank you so much. You helped me so much. And you're like, I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have had that happen to me. And because as I mentioned, I'm very spiritual and I allow myself to be a vessel,
Right.
And so you have to be open to do that. You have to just listen and just say things that's in your head, because sometimes the things that are in your head is not for you, it's for the person that you're talking to.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And so what I said to you that meant nothing to me, but it wasn't supposed to. It was for you.
Yeah.
And so we do have to trust sometimes the voices in our head and the stuff in our spirit, and just say it, and give it to somebody else. And then we, those who are the intended recipients, we have to be okay to reaching out and talking. And you never know who needs what. Just today, I was having breakfast with some friends of mine, and I went to the restroom, and it was this, when we were washing our hands, it was this beautiful lady at the sink. And so we just started talking, and she asked, are you ready for Christmas? And I was like, yeah, I was telling her stuff, and I was asking her, and she's like, yeah, I'm getting married in a couple of weeks. I'm telling you, and we probably talked 10 minutes, right? It's a long time for somebody you don't know and you're washing your hands. So when I got back to my table, the guy was like, well, who is that lady? I was like, I don't know. Her name's Karen. I just met her. And so, I hugged her as we were leaving. And so, she'll say, yeah, she said, I want to hug you too, even in COVID. And I hugged her and I said, I think, love's going to kill that COVID. We're going to exchange it.
Right.
So that, but, just talking to somebody, you never know.
Never know
What they need or, what I need. I mean, she could have said something today that I needed.
Right.
Yeah. But we do have to part our lips.
That's exactly it. I just had a situation the other day. I was getting a pedicure and the lady sitting next to me, and finally I struck up a conversation with her, and here she has a nonprofit for autism, and they help with, some bills and stuff like that. Well, I have a gentleman that I work with at the casino that their son has a pretty severe autism, and they are like in debt with the bills from the counseling and things that they have to do. And here this lady was placed right there. Like it was like,
wow.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I wouldn't have had that conversation,
you wouldn't know.
No. And that's the thing, when you talk about the spirituality of it, I could tell you 90% of the people on my podcast I've never met before in my life. And God, just the universe, God, whatever you guys believe, God brings them to me. Like, here you go. Yeah. Here's another story that someone needs to hear today.
I get that all the time with books and bottles. I'm just going to be full disclosure. Sometimes when these books come to me, I'm like, I don't feel like reading this book. I don't want to talk about this, but, I have to put on my best, Angela Bassett.
Right.
and do this interview. But it's always before we are done with that 22 minutes of conversation, the purpose for this conversation reveals itself. It's something that this individual said. It may not have been the book, but it's something that, because I do have a way if I do try and ask some things about the author.
Sure.
So sometimes it's something about that individual that made me say, aha, this is why this book came to me. And this is why it wasn't about the contents of the book, but I was supposed to know this person. Yeah. So I do understand that.
Yes. And it's so, so true. And that's where I'm open to all that too. And I feel like the conversations need to be had and people need to do that more, and I know through COVID, then people were like, I'm not speaking to you because, you might breathe on me wrong or something. I think now finally people are starting to talk a little bit more, but it's just the kind words that we say to people. It's just listening. God gave us 2 ears for a reason and one
Yeah.
mouth for a reason.
Mhm.
Listen more. And that's, I talk about that. So I love what you said, because you don't know that woman that you were talking to today, she's getting married in 2 weeks. She might be having all these jitters and stuff like that.
Yes.
And just your conversation with her just brought some more light to it,
Yeah.
and brought light to you, because I could tell by your smile that it was
Yeah.
like,
I enjoyed our conversation,
yeah,
and I didn't ask like for her number so we can continue anything. I felt like it was for that moment. And
yep,
that's what was supposed to happen in that very moment. And sometimes,
yes,
like, people talk about what they say, a reason, a season, and a lifetime that people come into your life. And
yes.
so, whatever the reason was for us to meet for those 10 minutes, it's gonna reveal itself.
Yep, exactly. I have a friend of mine that she always, you're always out. Let's say you're out and you see a beautiful sunset and you're taking all these pictures of it and they're not turning out the way that you want. And my friend says, everything isn't meant for everybody to see. And,
Yes.
I think there's a poem about fireflies or something like that too. Like this lady saw all these fireflies and she kept trying to take pictures and couldn't get a picture at all. And it was like, you're the only one that was supposed to see this today, and I think that's big too, that we have to remember those things. But those little moments are just like, I mean, I can't even tell you how many people I've ran across in airports and airplanes of just great conversations and never talked to them again. Or
Right.
I have some, I talked with a couple on the plane. It was right after COVID. It was like in May. And I was coming back from going out and visiting my friends in Arizona to be the light to them after our friend was murdered. And flying back, I met this young couple, and sweet as could be. They're from California. She lived here in Michigan. They were coming back to visit her family. Well, now they ended up moving back to Michigan. They're like 4 hours away, but we have a friendship now,
Mhm.
So if I wouldn't have had that conversation, I wouldn't have this great friendship
It
with
would have never happened.
and it's just talking and being, it's okay. It's okay. And when you said that about, your counseling and friends calling you or you calling a friend, it's just being open to listen to people,
Yeah.
There's so many people out there, like we just said, with mental health and that struggle and feel like they can't talk to anybody. And if I could ever say anything to anybody, if you know me, you don't know me, however you're following me, I always am here to listen,
Yes.
and just be that person, because I get it. I talk about my addiction a lot, and I mean, those struggles were real, man. There were some really, really dark times, and there's been dark times after that, but now I've learned that it's okay to get a counselor.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that I'm not okay. You might see my highlight reels and you might love going to my page because I'm happy and I'm dancing and I'm having a great time, but I'll also show you the real life. I'll
Yeah.
also tell you that the struggles have been real, and it's a work in progress. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And know you have, we all have an audience, right? Our
Yeah.
people, and it's okay to shift. I get this from my good friend Rita Riggs. She's a spiritual coach, and we talk about shifting who's in your front row.
Mm,
Everybody isn't meant to sit on the front row of your
right.
life, and you can move them based
Mm,
on what's going on today.
yes. Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah, I've
but some
learned that the
people,
hard way too. That was a hard thing for me because I was one of those people that wanted to keep everybody like right here, right here, right here.
yeah,
And
no, everybody ain't supposed to be right here.
right. I learned that. My good friend taught me a lot about detachment, right? I put some people over here. I still love them, but they're over here for a reason, right? And I
Mhm,
have some that are over here for a reason. I have some that are back here for a reason.
yes.
But that's what we have to learn, through life. So I want to ask you real quick. You said something about a nonprofit. So do you belong to a nonprofit? Do you have a nonprofit?
I don't have one, but I work on several. I'm on the board of the Global Food and Drink Initiative.
Okay.
So it's a nonprofit. Basically, our mission is to tell and keep stories alive about the African food, drink, and travel diaspora. And so we're right now, just trying to continue to raise money to keep awareness alive. We have a podcast, and we have the magazine, Cuisine Noir Magazine is where we are. And so we use that as you see my people moving in the back.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we use that.
I would say my podcasts are real life. So,
It's real life, right? We're at home. So
Right.
so yeah, I'm on that. And so for years also, I've raised money for the Walter M. Ridley scholarship fund, as I mentioned, I attended the University of Virginia, and Walter N. really was the first Black graduate of the university. And we raised money to send African American students to the university. And so we've raised, oh wow, we have an endowment, I think now is worth about 2.7 million. And so we still raise so we can send more students. So
Yeah, so
I'm very proud of the work that we do there.
yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Now, are you part of the wine crawl too then?
I am the Wine Crawl franchise, Wine Crawl DC
Okay.
franchise owner. So we had our successful launch back in October. And then I do Wine Crawl in Richmond. And then I'm going to be filling in for the Wine Crawl Carolina for a little while for my friend Rochelle. So we got some stuff coming up. Our next one is in Virginia Beach. I think, let's see.
Okay.
January 21st in Virginia Beach. Yep.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I was just telling Keisha the other day, I said, I got to get to one of those. When I saw everybody on a boat, I think it was in Chicago.
I know. Yep.
Yeah. And everybody
like
was dancing and having fun. And I'm like, I don't drink, but I dance and have fun. So
exactly. It's about so much more. We just did one in Richmond a week ago, and it was in a selfie museum. So, you know, everybody loves to take selfies, nobody more than Glenn. Right. But we were at this we were at this selfie museum. So that was fun, you know. So yeah, there's stuff to do. And you know, and I'm glad you said that, you know, because it just now it's going to make me think to make sure we have activities that other people can do. You know, sometimes, like you say, we love to have fun, you love to dance. You know, there's so much more we can do. So I thank you for saying it, because I can think about ways to incorporate folks who do not drink of the vine.
Yeah. Yeah. Because here's the thing, you know, sometimes people, when they stop drinking, they're like, oh, I can't have fun anymore. And I don't get invited to things anymore. You know, that's kind of where it is. And I've learned that, because I didn't get invited to things anymore for a while, because they were like, well, she doesn't really have any fun. And then I was like, one day, forget it, I'm having fun. So,
but you know what's funny? I've dated 3 men in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Who do not drink. And they are the most fun. You know, there's so much, and it's enlightened me. Because like most of the time with me and my friends go out, you know, it starts at a restaurant. Because I do like to eat more than I like to drink. I love food. So it starts at a restaurant. And so I like to do food crawls and stuff. But you know, they have creative things. It's like, okay, well, let's go and do this. Like things that I don't necessarily think about for days, but they do, because this is what they do.
Right, exactly. So that's awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate you getting on here with me today. This has been a great
yes, it has been so much fun.
Yeah, so much fun. Is there any like last words that you want to say to anybody?
Oh wow, you know, just to sound cliche, but Jesse Jackson said, keep hope alive. You know, it's really big. You know, never give up. There's people out there rooting for you and cheering you on. When you feel like it's just you and your back is up against the wall, push that wall down. You know, push it down, get help, reach out, get therapy. Therapy is not a bad word.
Yes.
You know, I'm gotta tell this story real quick. The first time I went to therapy, I think it was back in like 2008 or 9. And I remember the day when she told me, okay, today is your last day. I'm like, what? You know, today can't be my last day, because I like it. You know, I liked it. You know, it was like, I don't know. I mean, to say therapeutic is more than a truth, right? I mean, I really liked it, but go, you know, don't be afraid. Go that first time, and then go back the second time. And when you're going, do the work.
Right.
Do the work.
That's important right there, what you just said. You know, I'm going to finish up with that too, because doing the work, like I have somebody that's very, very close to me that has been going to a counselor for years. And I said to her, I said, maybe you should find a different counselor, because nothing's changing. And she said, well, I can't blame the counselors because I don't do any of the work.
You got to do the work.
You have to do the work. You know, it's like I talk about, like my one friend and I, we talk about recovery a lot. And I say, we don't walk outside. And this is for anybody really. And there's a bubble around you that says, I'm going to protect you from everything in this world. No, you're
Yes.
still going to deal with death. You're still going to deal with people that don't like you, or people that are, used to be your friends and they're not, or whatever's going to happen. You're going to deal with those things, but now you have to have the tools to be able to deal with them.
Yes.
And that's what a counselor or mentor or whatever it is that you need, is going to help you with. It's give you those tools to get through.
Absolutely.
I know you just said that you lost your father just not too long ago,
Mhm.
and coming up on the holidays, and I know that grief is real, and
It's so funny when I was cooking at Thanksgiving. So my father was always like a jokester. So that did not change when he had dementia. It was always like just team do too much. And
right.
so I just chuckled because like this grandkid of mine has my father's energy.
Uh,
And so as I'm trying to cook, he's like laying in the floor, laughing, like pushing, just doing stuff. And so, like when my father was here the last couple years of his life, he was in his wheelchair, but I'm trying to cook. He's at the bar. He was like, well, why can't I have some? You can't just give me one. I just can't have a little bit more. And so this year I did just kind of laugh out loud because I kind of
right.
felt that same energy,
Yeah.
that this is what will be happening if he was still here. And then this grandson that I swear my father is whispering in his ear, say, do this, because this will
Yeah.
drive him
Oh
nuts.
yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so awesome for your grandson. I just see that smile on your face and you just light up.
Yeah. Oh, he's
Yeah.
funny. We had a holiday party at my office a couple days ago. And so I told people you can find, what desk is mine. I have like the whole sign of his name is Sire. I have the shrine of Sire. It's like 6 or 7 pictures on my desk of just him. None of my kids. Who cares?
Right.
I've been seeing them forever, but just the baby.
Just the baby, just the baby. Well, I really appreciate you getting on here with me today, Benita.
Thanks,
I
Tammy.
hope that you have a very Merry Christmas and a blessed 2023. I'm sure I'm going to meet you in 2023. So
Absolutely. I'll
yeah,
come out. You're in Ohio?
I'm in Ohio. Yeah.
Okay. I can make a trip. No problem.
Yep. I can make a trip to Virginia too. So it's all good.
Okay.
We'll definitely plan on that. So everybody, I just want to thank you so much for getting on Hope. Remember, you don't have to struggle alone, and it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. You need to reach out to someone, find someone that can help you, and just know that you can get through your day. I wake up every day with at least one gratitude. And if you start doing that daily, I promise your life will change. So thank you again, Benita. You have a blessed day. Okay.
Thank you too.
Thank you.